Okay. All right, go ahead, no problem. Where are we? Can you guys tell me where we are? Well, we're on Broadway going eastbound from Central. You can see that the car is now traveling eastbound there. I zoomed in on the car just a few moments ago. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that, but the windows are certainly blown out on the back of this SUV as it speeds through this neighborhood here. We're working above Phoenix Firebird, which is their helicopter that they're trying to pursue this guy. I'm sure you saw that a little bit earlier as well. When this car was in that alley, he stopped for just a moment, threw out a black bag right by a telephone pole there. That was about Central and Broadway area in that neighborhood. And then took off, and we're still on this pursuit here. Phoenix Firebird hasn't been able to tell us a whole lot about what's going on. Obviously, they're very busy trying to get people coordinated so they can stop this person. But we're on about 7th Street now going southbound. Yeah, you know, Firebird told us earlier that they saw 3 people jump out of this vehicle, and they thought maybe 1 person was still inside, but it does look like possibly 2 people still inside, but we haven't been able to confirm that. I know that their observations and their information is as fluid as ours. Things are changing really quickly, as you can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. He's really picking up the speed here. We're going southbound on 7th Avenue right now. We're coming up on Southern, I believe, here in just a moment. Looks like he might be trying to make a left-hand turn onto Southern, I believe, and we're going to continue to go eastbound. Right now, it seems to be just them falling by the air, but police are trying to coordinate to get this person to stop. I think they're trying to get some units in place so that they can get a stop on what's happening here. But right now, just Phoenix Firebird overhead. This is a person that has been going sort of erratically through neighborhoods and changing directions quite a bit, so it's hard to kind of catch up with it, especially in the middle part of the day here where you have some traffic out and about. They're just trying to make sure that this person doesn't get away, and the best way to do that is through the helicopter. Yeah, exactly. They're going to stop 6 is probably the best and most safe way to get this done. You know, at these speeds, I couldn't imagine them doing a pit maneuver or anything on this to try to get it to stop. But we're going down, I believe, baseline now eastbound. Now that we've made a turn, and we're over here by South Mountain area. But you're absolutely right, Troy. They got to try to get some stop sticks or something out on this vehicle because of how large the vehicle is and how fast they're going. They got to figure out a way to get this stopped. I haven't seen him run any red lights. There was some stop signs that he might have missed in the neighborhood there, but doing a lot of passing in that middle lane, you know, that yellow lane in the center. I've seen him pass a few people doing in that direction. But earlier when they were over around, say, Central and Broadway area, they definitely stopped for lights and waited patiently in traffic. So you can see him now. He's stopped at a red light. Looks like he's trying to wait for traffic to get cleared a little bit, but he's probably going to try to run this light here pretty quickly, I would imagine. He seems a little antsy. Oh, yeah, there. Yeah, usually trucks, SUVs. There are sometimes you can see small sedans that'll do the same. They kind of come out of nowhere sometimes, those unmarked vehicles, but we do see at least him trying to figure out what he's going to do next. And yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that looks like they've got him at least in their sights on the ground. I'm sorry, could you please repeat that question? I'm sorry.
But again, that driver just then took off when it could not make a left-hand turn. And again, the driver is still in the South Phoenix area when earlier it had thrown out what looked like some kind of a black bag or something out of the window in the residential area not too far away from 7th Street and Broadway. That driver is going eastbound on Baseline right now. And again, as you can clearly see from Sky 12 here, just blowing through the intersections. Thank goodness, there are no crashes involved in this, especially when you're dealing with a high-speed chase like this. And the driver definitely picking up steam as when he or she can and driving a lot faster. Again, we can see perhaps maybe that driver wearing a red ball cap or some kind of a hat in there. Looks to be like one person is in that vehicle when we were told that 3 other people had bailed out of that SUV. But again, police nearby, even though we haven't seen them. That driver is headed towards the Arizona Mills area. So if you know anyone who perhaps is in the South Phoenix area or maybe perhaps around Arizona Mills, definitely give them a heads up. We don't know obviously where this driver will end up, but anything can happen, and it is a very dangerous situation.
And to make this situation even more dangerous, it looks like that driver is on the phone, obviously distracted and only having one hand on the wheel. Talk about the driver still going eastbound on Baseline. It was at 24th Street. That was, say, 2 or 3 minutes ago, getting close to the Arizona Mills area. Thank goodness traffic is not very heavy at this hour as we approach 12:34. And Team 12 continues to follow this breaking news of what police are telling us could very well be a bank robbery suspect on the run in that black SUV. See the driver there just get to another intersection and blow right through it. Sky 12 is following it. We do apologize. Sky 12 shot breaks up every once in a while, but it always goes right back to it. And again, that driver is approaching the Arizona Mills area going eastbound on Baseline. Earlier, we know there were 4 people, we are told, involved in a robbery, potentially. 3 of them bailed from the SUV. Just the driver is left in it. And Tram, a minute ago, talked about that driver being down a dirt alleyway near 7th Street and Broadway. That was about 7 or 8 minutes ago. Kept going back and forth through that alley and then dropping something off or throwing it out the window and then taking off and now getting into some heavier traffic as it gets closer and closer to what would be the Tempe area.
That's right. Arizona Mills located in Tempe. This is South Phoenix, though. The driver is still in the South Phoenix area. And I can tell you from this area, there's a lot of industrial buildings. It's very, a lot of companies are down there. And so with this, it's kind of getting clogged in traffic here, a lot more traffic than we have seen the driver just kind of blow through. But again, the driver rarely stopping. It only stopped at one intersection for a little bit. Right now, we're being told that SUV is near the area of I-10 and Baseline. So again, if you know anybody in this area, definitely give them a heads up of what's happening. We're assuming that police choppers are obviously in that area, as well as ground crews as well. Our crew, our Sky 12, closely watching the situation. Very tense. That vehicle just bumped another truck right there, you can see. Again, we're talking about an accident happening right here, spinning the SUV around, trapping that car. We have to wonder if these are pedestrians or it looks like, nope, it looks like Phoenix police officers perhaps have him cornered.
Firing into the SUV. I believe they just fired into that SUV. We do not have control over this. We want you to know this is live television. You're watching what looks like undercover agents. They did a pit maneuver. They stopped this. There were a couple of puffs of smoke, and you could see what looked like the glass shattering on the front of that SUV. You now see what we believe are bullet holes on the front of it, and undercover officers going over to the driver as we speak. Again, this is live. We do not have control over it, so you have been warned for what you may or may not see here.
Yeah, this is a very tense situation. Again, we don't want to show you exactly just because we don't know what to expect, but you just did see undercover officers fire into that SUV. You saw the glass with some bullet holes in it. So we are closely monitoring the situation off the air because that was live, and we don't want to bring you anything that obviously would not be suitable for TV. But again, this all started out of a bank robbery that happened in Avondale. We're assuming the two were connected.
And one of the things you have to wonder about is if the undercover officers particularly did this pit maneuver before that driver reached the interstate. And this could have very well turned into an extremely dangerous high-speed chase. We are back live now with Sky 12 over the area. The SUV in the middle, there's a dark one. That is the suspect SUV. The other two SUVs and what looks like a pickup truck, we believe, are from undercover officers. Just minutes ago, they performed a pit maneuver. Basically, they hit the back of that SUV, they spun it out, they surrounded it. We saw all of the officers get out with their guns drawn, and it looked like at least one of them fired into that SUV. We could see a couple of puffs of smoke from a gun on the outside. We don't know if the suspect fired or had a gun, but then we saw the glass shatter, and we went away from the screen because we did not know what was going to happen next.
And it looks like easily there are at least half a dozen undercover vehicles right there. I counted 7 just from this vantage point from Sky 12 right there.
There is a fire truck, but this has gone on now. They've been at this scene since that chase ended for 5 to 6 minutes. We have not seen an ambulance rush out there. And again, we have not seen Phoenix police get the driver out of that SUV. There were no civilians hurt. There were no crashes involved to anyone who is an innocent witness in this, and they did what they needed to. This is video of the SUV. It dropped off some sort of a bag, that black thing on the ground. This is in an alley somewhere near 7th Street and Broadway. And right before this, it was interesting. We kept wondering, why was this SUV going back and forth down a dirt alleyway? And maybe it was to go ahead and find that back entrance where it wanted to drop something off at.
And you have to think, the demeanor of that woman being so calm, that's why I kind of wonder if maybe the driver knew that woman. Yes, it was going back and forth. You thought maybe, okay, well, it kind of hit a spot where it couldn't go any further, and then you thought that the vehicle was going to back out again onto the streets. No, it still kept going forward and backward. It's almost as if he or she was waiting for that particular moment where they were going to drop off that bag.
12 News at 10 tracking breaking new details in a bizarre police chase through the streets of Phoenix.
A bank robbery set off the chain of events that would end with one suspect dead and 2 others in custody.
And all of it happening on live television. Now, this story going national tonight.
And within the past half hour, police have identified the suspect at the center of it.
Team 12's Kevin Kennedy is in the Live Alert Center with what we know about him. Kevin.
Yeah, guys, here are the breaking details you need to know. Phoenix police telling 12 News that suspect is Steven Del Rio. Now, the 31-year-old has a lengthy criminal history going back to 2005. He served time for armed robbery, aggravated assault, and a number of other crimes. Court records show that he was actually just released from prison in May. As for today, police say Del Rio robbed a bank prior to that police chase.
Our Sky 12 closely watching the situation.
Live on 12 News, a police pursuit ends near I-10 and Baseline.
Right here, spinning the SUV around.
I think it was good. They stopped him here before they went on the freeway. Yeah.
There we go.
Police locked down a bank robbery suspect. Guns drawn, shots fired.
Oh, shots are fired. Shots are fired at the vehicle.
We were not sure who was shooting first, so that was a little bit panic.
From tense and confusing to calm and controlled, police say it all started at this Avondale bank. 3 suspects pull off a robbery. Police in pursuit.
The suspects within that vehicle shot at the Avondale police.
Code 24, 998, 998,
Phoenix police tracking the suspects by air.
We know the suspect was on the phone with people during the chase.
At one point, near 65th Avenue and Thomas, 2 of the suspects bail out. The other one keeps going. This is where it gets interesting. Watch him pull into this alley near 2nd Avenue and Rozier. It's the house he lives with his sister. This is her husband.
All I know is my wife was home whenever he was doing whatever he was doing with whoever.
At one point, you can see her by that open gate. Her brother then backs up a second time, throwing a black bag on the ground.
What he threw out, what bag or whatever, I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure they know what it is. You know.
His wife detained and then taken for questioning. The 2 suspects that bailed out caught and arrested, ending a wild day on Valley streets.
Now, once again, Phoenix police identifying the chase suspect as 31-year-old Steven Del Rio. At last check, police are just questioning his sister. Officers did not arrest her. As for that bag, we still don't know what was inside of it. We're live in the Live Alert Center. I'm Kevin Kennedy. 12 News at 10.
A dramatic chase unfolding during the lunch hour.
Bank robbery suspects leading police on a pursuit, first on Valley streets and then back and forth down an alley.
Minutes later, things coming to a violent end.
Good evening, everyone. That chase began with a bank robbery in Avondale where shots were fired at police.
Officers then following the suspects along the I-10 to the Tempe border, where one of the suspects was shot and killed by police.
Fox 10 has team coverage of this chase, beginning with Mark Martinez, who shows us how everything unfolded from the very beginning.
Yeah, this all started right around the noon hour today. And again, it all started with a robbery at that credit union in Avondale, right over here at 137th Avenue and Avondale, and Van Buren, that is, in Avondale. Now, the suspects took off after firing at an officer. That chase went on for about 45 minutes, traveling through Avondale and Phoenix, and it came to an end right here along the I-10 and baseline in Tempe. That's when those officers used their vehicles to force the suspects to stop. Skyfox zeroes in on the suspect's SUV right around noon today. This is near 7th Avenue and Rozier in Phoenix, shortly after the 911 call of a robbery at Credit Union West in Avondale. You can see the driver is going fast, and it's sometimes weaving in and out of traffic. You don't see any marked police cruisers following the suspect, but the SUV is being closely trailed by several unmarked police vehicles and a helicopter. At one point during their run from the law, the black SUV turns into this alley near 2nd Avenue and Grove. The driver appears to be confused or looking for something, stopping halfway in the alley, throwing it into reverse, and heading back toward the street. And then watch closely. You'll see the driver pull up to that open gate and toss out what appears to be a black bag. A woman in the backyard can be seen closing the gate, and the SUV takes off again. It appears by now the driver knows they're being followed. Watch as he waits in traffic to make a left turn, then suddenly decides to go straight. Watch the unmarked police pickup now move in behind. As the officer tries to get the SUV to stop, they sideswipe and go through the intersection. Then another unmarked unit rams the suspect's SUV from behind, and they have them boxed in. Officers get out with their guns drawn and open fire on the suspects inside. Now, the officers who stopped this pursuit, they were part of the Special Assignments Unit with Phoenix Police, basically the SWAT team. No officers were injured during today's incident. Reporting live, Mark Martinez, Fox 10 News.
Thanks, Mark. If this chase had lasted just a few more seconds, the suspects may have been able to drive back onto I-10 on the busy I-10 freeway, but they never got that chance. Andrew Hasman continues our team coverage live from I-10 and baseline. Andrew, this was a wild scene today.
It sure was, John, and it ended right here on the on-ramp to I-10. It's not clear what prompted the officers to open fire, if the suspect displayed a weapon of some kind, but as we mentioned, he did open fire. He was accused of opening fire at responding officers. When this went down, witnesses tell us it ended in a matter of seconds. The chase ended in a barrage of gunfire, police killing the man accused of leading them on the valley-wide chase.
The gunshots going off, and then we saw a bunch of cops driving up the road. It was quick because it took like about less than 1 minute and the whole scene was surrounded by cops everywhere. And they were really fast. They were coming from here, that side. They were coming from all four corners and they just stopped right there.
The chase ended at the I-10 East on-ramp at Baseline Road, but it all began here at the Credit Union West branch near Litchfield and Van Buren in Avondale. Police responded to a robbery call there, and when they arrived, the suspect was driving away. During the chase, shots were fired at the responding officers.
You know, it's ridiculous what these people are doing. It's our money that they're messing with and puts us in a bind.
When the pursuit entered the city of Phoenix, Phoenix PD took over, following the suspects on streets and through alleyways. He actually appeared to stop at one home and talk to someone. Two of the suspects bailed out of the SUV and were quickly picked up by officers and an MCSO deputy near 65th Avenue and Thomas, but the driver did not give up.
We know the suspect was on the phone with people during the chase, and he could have been receiving updates from people at home watching TV.
When the suspect tried to get on the I-10 from Baseline Road, that's when undercover teams from Phoenix PD moved in.
Driving down this one, that's when I saw everything that happened right here. We're surprised. We got kids in the car, you know. Have to be careful.
Police continue to investigate here at the spot where it all ended. The FBI and Avondale PD are also helping out to piece together this dramatic scene. So Baseline Road remains closed right now from 48th Street all the way over to just east of the I-10. Also, the off-ramps at Baseline Road and the on-ramp to the I-10 eastbound here are closed as well, and they will remain closed while police investigate. This will remain closed through the rush hour and possibly into the evening. Reporting live in Tempe, I'm Andrew Hasbun, Fox 10 News.
Thank you, Andrew. And during the chase, that suspect drove to his sister's home near 2nd Avenue, McKinley. We showed you that part of the video. You see it right there, and actually threw something out of the window near her back fence. Ty Brennan is on the scene. He joins us live. Ty.
Yeah, Carrie, this is that alleyway where we saw that suspect drive right down, and this is where he threw that black bag out. Now, this was the scene of a very lengthy police investigation earlier this afternoon. I want to get right to some video to show you what it looked like earlier. When we arrived, we saw officers looking through and rifling through what appeared to be a black sweatshirt as well as some cash. Now, earlier this afternoon, we spoke to the man who says he lives at this house. He says his wife was the one who was seen at the back gate when her brother threw that object out of the car. He was questioned and released and hasn't been able to speak to his wife while she is also being questioned. He tells us that the suspect in this case is his brother-in-law, and he has lived at this house for about 6 months. This is what he told us earlier.
Fortunately, her brother made a decision today where he made a mistake, and the consequences was losing his life. So, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with us. So right now we're just waiting for them to come and search the house to see if anything else is in there that maybe that shouldn't be in the house. I mean, he was going through an ordeal of his own, and, you know, I observed him and tried to speak to him and help him and lead him in the right direction, but I don't think that he was too much for it, because I think some men do change and some don't.
We are told that that woman was taken down to police headquarters for further questioning. Obviously, just one more piece of a very lengthy investigation for Phoenix police officers. Reporting live in Phoenix, Ty Brennan, Fox 10 News.
Okay. All right, go ahead, no problem. Where are we? Can you guys tell me where we are? Well, we're on Broadway going eastbound from Central. You can see that the car is now traveling eastbound there. I zoomed in on the car just a few moments ago. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that, but the windows are certainly blown out on the back of this SUV as it speeds through this neighborhood here. We're working above Phoenix Firebird, which is their helicopter that they're trying to pursue this guy. I'm sure you saw that a little bit earlier as well. When this car was in that alley, he stopped for just a moment, threw out a black bag right by a telephone pole there. That was about Central and Broadway area in that neighborhood. And then took off, and we're still on this pursuit here. Phoenix Firebird hasn't been able to tell us a whole lot about what's going on. Obviously, they're very busy trying to get people coordinated so they can stop this person. But we're on about 7th Street now going southbound. Yeah, you know, Firebird told us earlier that they saw 3 people jump out of this vehicle, and they thought maybe one person was still inside, but it does look like possibly 2 people still inside, but we haven't been able to confirm that. I know that their observations and their information is as fluid as ours. Things are changing really quickly, as you can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. He's really picking up the speed here. We're going southbound on 7th Avenue right now. We're coming up on Southern, I believe, here in just a moment. Looks like he might be trying to make a left-hand turn onto Southern, I believe. And we're going to continue to go eastbound. Right now, it seems to be just them falling by the air, but police are trying to coordinate to get this person to stop. I think they're trying to get some units in place so that they can get a stop on what's happening here. But right now, just Phoenix Firebird overhead. This is a person that has been going sort of erratically through neighborhoods and changing directions quite a bit, so it's hard to kind of catch up with it, especially in the middle part of the day here where you have some traffic out and about. They're just trying to make sure that this person doesn't get away, and the best way to do that is through the helicopter. Yeah, exactly. They're going to stop sticks is probably the best and most safe way to get this done. You know, at these speeds, I couldn't imagine them doing a pit maneuver or anything on this to try to get it to stop. But we're going down, I believe, baseline now eastbound. Now that we've made a turn, and we're over here by South Mountain area. But you're absolutely right, Troy. They got to try to get some stop sticks or something out on this vehicle because of how large the vehicle is and how fast they're going. They got to figure out a way to get this stopped. I haven't seen him run any red lights. There was some stop signs that he might have missed in the neighborhood there, but doing a lot of passing in that middle lane, you know, that yellow lane in the center. I've seen him pass a few people doing in that direction. But earlier when they were over around, say, Central and Broadway area, they definitely stopped for lights and waited patiently in traffic. So you can see him now. He's stopped at a red light. Looks like he's trying to wait for traffic to get cleared a little bit, but he's probably going to try to run this light here pretty quickly, I would imagine. He seems a little antsy. Oh, yeah, there. Yeah, usually